Hey everybody, this is the Crossman Sports Talk Podcast, episode 15. How's everybody doing tonight? Almost said 16, but we didn't episode last week. Just wanted to we're going to start off with a little NFL news. Before we begin, we'll be short a man tonight. Brian is out this evening. Blew his meniscus blowing dudes at a Rayleigh's parking lot, so we have to excuse it. He should be back next week, but no, he hurt himself at work and he's going to be out for a little while, but he should be recording back with us next week. So you'll have me, Evan,
Pat,
you, Gavin.
So we're all back in the fold here. So going to start off the evening talking about, this was a surprise to me because this wasn't really listed as a team that he was interested in, but on Monday, J.J. Watt agreed to a 2-year contract with the Arizona Cardinals. Oh boy. This is guaranteed, so he's got $23 million guaranteed as a 2-year contract. They haven't released all the details just yet, but it's looking about $31 million for 2 years, but he's guaranteed 23 of it. What a grab. How much of a change does that make for the Cardinals in the NFC West?
I think it's huge because you got to figure they got Chandler Jones on one side, which he's himself is an all-pro defensive end, and now you put J.J. Watt on the other side. I think it makes a huge difference for the Cardinals. I mean, that's a big step up in defense. And if JJ can stay healthy, I think it's huge for the Cardinals. Big pickup.
That's a scary grab.
Yeah, and Chandler Jones and JJ Watt have been the most two players since 2012, I think it was, that have the most sacks in the NFL right now. So if JJ Watt can stay healthy and he can play good, as the money says, with how much he got paid, then yeah, I think the Cardinals are going to look tough.
Does this change anything in regards to how they're looking in the NFC West in regards? So they had predictions come out about who's going to before the pre-draft. They had Arizona 4th still based on what's going on. Does this change the outcome at all?
I don't know if it's going to I think it's going to make a big difference, but like we talked about, the NFC West is completely packed. And, it's few players here and there that's going to make a difference for a team that could bolt them to the top of the division. So, I don't know. There's so many question marks right now in that NFC West. Obviously, Stafford going to L.A. Is he going to make a huge difference from Jared Goff? And, the situation in Seattle with Russell Wilson. Is he going to stay? Is he going to leave? Nobody knows. There's so many things up in the air right now with the NFC West. Yeah, absolutely. Is it going to make a difference, J.J. Watt? I mean, anybody'd love to have him on your team. Number one, can he stay healthy? And if he does, I think he definitely makes a big impact. And to the fact, like I said, he's right next to Chandler Jones. I mean, those are two stud defensive ends putting pressure on the quarterback. So, like we talked about Russell, his biggest complaint was, I need protection. Well, we usually look at what LA's done to us in the last 3-4 years with, having Aaron Donald in the middle. He eats us alive. And now the Cardinals add J.J. Watt. That makes even more now for what Russell's talking about, for us to go out and get, a quality offensive line. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see how it turns out. All it was, they said Monday after it all was announced, Hopkins released a tweet, and he just said, life is good in Arizona.
Yeah, they are. They, like I said, you got a young stud quarterback. Their offense was pretty decent last year. I know their quarterback, Cardinals. Kyler Murray, got hurt, dinged up at the end of the year, but, their offense is legit. And now, like we talked about, add J.J. Watt, their defense is, going to be legit. I think the Cardinals, they could very easily win that division. San Francisco getting healthy again, dealt with a lot of injuries. I know they don't know what they're going to do at quarterback, but that's a scary division all the way around. I think any team in that division could end up on top. I think it's going to be a battle all the way to the end of the year next year.
I think that's a good point. And he was quoted as saying, he said, the one thing I can promise you is I'm going to work my ass off every single day to make you proud. And this is what he said. He said, very proud to be part of the Bird Gang in the Red Sea. So we'll see. That's a big deal in regards to, because like I said, when we talked a few weeks ago, there was nothing about the Cardinals. It was, Packers were out there, Buffalo, the Browns. Everybody thought he was going to the Browns. He liked the Browns. But Pittsburgh.
He actually turned down more money from Indy to go to Arizona. I guess Indianapolis offered him quite a chunk of change, and he turned it down. So
I guess he just wanted to reunite with the teammate.
It sounds like it. So yeah, you got them two together, him and Hopkins. So we'll see what happens.
Poor Deshaun Watson. He has to stand the Texans. Everybody else is gone. He's the only one left.
We'll see what happens there. Other news in the NFL. This came to a bit of a surprise to me, but then again, like we've been talking, several weeks in a row, we're talking about how bad this cap situation is going to be for the NFL this upcoming season. The Vikings released veteran tight end Kyle Rudolph, ending a decade-long run in Minnesota. By doing that, it clears about $5 million in cap space for the Vikings. So you got to scrounge for every piece of money you can get right now. But he's going to be available out there. Do you think there's a chance of him going to Seattle?
There's a possibility, but the thing, like we talked about, a couple of weeks ago, is the problem that I don't understand is, all these teams are cutting, all these big names to, lower the cap, but what do these free agents do now? I mean, they got to accept lower money because who's going to be able to afford, with everybody fighting cap space? Yeah, there's a few teams, we talked about that's got quite a bit of money to spend, but it seems like everybody else is pretty much cash strapped, and it's so how are these guys, these veterans that are getting cut by their teams right now because they can't afford them? How's other teams going to afford them? Everybody's hurting with the cap space this year, so I don't know what's going to happen, where they're going to go, but I just know a lot of these guys are going to they're going to have to take a pay cut because nobody's going to be able to afford big time contract this year.
No.
So,
and like Brian was saying a couple weeks ago, is from what you heard is what you're going to see is a lot of these like 1-year deals for these veteran guys that they're going to need to play somewhere, but they're only going to the cap situation was going on. You'll see a lot of 1-year deals, just kind of some prove it deals, some 1-year deals just to kind of get that guy in there, just to pay him and give him what they can.
But don't only think about it though. Everybody hurting for money because of the cap this year, but some of these guys are going to be getting 1-year contracts. But think about it. They're going to play their ass off because they know that a 1-year deal, they got to prove themselves to when, the cap goes back up the following year. They got to be able to, they got to play their ass off, this year to prove to get that longer term contract when the cap space goes up.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting take on how everything plays out. This offseason is going to be weird. So, the offseason the official is March 17th, I believe, is when the NFL offseason officially begins. So once that kicks on, man, it's going to get really interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, nobody knows. I mean, but right now I bet you, general managers are going crazy trying to figure out cap space, who's available, can we afford him, who do we have to cut to open up cap space. It's, a lot of players like we talked about with even the Seahawks. A lot of players, may have to take pay cuts to make everything work. Are they willing to do that? Because like we talked about, with our situation in Seattle, KJ Wright, Tyler Lockett, what's going to happen? Nobody knows how these general managers are going to be able to fit everybody into this cap space, and it's going to come down. But I don't think a lot of these players have much of a choice because where else are they going to go? No. They're bitching and complaining. Well, I'll leave because this team can't afford me. But who else is going to afford? Is everybody going to go to the Jets because they got the most money, or whoever's got the most money this year? Who's got the most money this year, cap space wise?
The Jags.
The Jaguars.
Yeah, but who the hell?
100.
Yeah, I mean the Jags are going to be spending a lot of money. You're going to see a lot of free agents heading to Jacksonville. Maybe they don't want to go because of the Jags, but sometimes big turnarounds. You get a big time quarterback in Trevor Lawrence from Clemson, number 1 pick. That's who they're going to go get, and then you just add all these veterans on. Jacksonville could very easily turn it around very quickly.
Plus, they may have a lot of guys that want to play for Urban Meyer.
And there you go. That's why they brought Urban Meyer. Think about it. That's the same thing when Pete came in out of USC. Kind of brought that college atmosphere, which seems like a lot of players tend to, gravitate towards more of this, than the old school Tom Coughlin, military style coaches. You heard a lot of this generation players bitch and complain, too strict, this and that. You get somebody like Pete Carroll that came in, loosened it up a little bit. They enjoy playing for him. So who knows? I'm sure Urban Meyer's going to bring that same type of, feel to a team. So I'd be surprised. Jacksonville may have a big turnaround this year.
I agree.
Like with cap space, with KJ Wright saying he doesn't want to take a pay, like he doesn't want to get paid less money. He wants to get paid the money he deserves, which right now is really difficult to say with some players because of the cap space right now. Some teams can do that, but like if he wants to play in Seattle, we're not going to pay him the money he wants.
Yeah, and it's funny that you're talking about KJ Wright. I was going to talk about a little bit, but yeah, he was talking about, he's going to return. He's going to play. This will be his 11th season playing with the Seahawks, but he wants to finish his career there. But he said he won't take anything other than market value, like you were just saying, and he's not willing to take that hometown discount this time around. And after the year he had, and how it's going to be tough for these cap situations for teams. I hate to say it, but there's a good possibility Seattle could, possibly, because they signed him for a 2-year last year, and he wants to possibly look at getting market value, and he wants to extend it. They could trade him, get some value, because they don't have much for a draft this year.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, like Gavin was saying, who knows what's going to happen, but I wish somebody like, here Russell's bitching and complaining, which we talked about. We can see his side of it, absolutely. But then again, the way he went about it, we all agreed was wrong. But, his situation, Russell's situation, and he sees these players that he wants to keep. But, he's got to know that, hey, I'm a chunk of the cap space. Look at Tom Brady for years. We talked about it too. He took pay cuts after pay cuts to make the team better, and they were able to take care of him some way down the road. But, is Russ willing to do that? Because